Some of you joined us for evening 5 or presentation 5 on the 6 Goswamis. And those of you that just joined us, you don't need an introduction. Is there anybody super new here this evening? Okay, good.
It's always nice to hear introduction, Maharaj.
Well, it's a little different when there's people that were here that had never been with devotees before. That was an interesting experience. They didn't know who Krishna was for sure. They didn't know who Lord Chaitanya was at all. A little different. Yeah, it was totally new people.
When did these evening?
The first evening. First evening. Of course, the kids all know.
Maharaj, why did you choose to have a Goswamis? If you can just give us, I'm always curious about it. Why?
Why not?
Oh, that's true. But there must be some hidden in your heart that you want to share.
Oh. There's many reasons. Several of those reasons I've been sharing in the course of these evenings. For example, one very nice example is Manashiksha, text number 3, where, you know, the other examples Prabhupada wrote in his Bhaktivedanta purports, but Raghunath Das Goswami describing, if you at all want to live eternally with Krishna in Vrindavan, life after life, then give yourself to the life of the Goswamis. He didn't say the Goswamis, Rupa and Swarup Damodar and their followers. And so it's he's in that verse, he's teaching the prince, give up this and that, but take shelter of these personalities. Give up pride. Give up the affinity for enjoying the material world and take shelter of the Goswamis. Bhaktivinoda expressed the same, Srila Prabhupada expressed the same, our predecessor acharyas expressed the same. So that's a principle, and then what to speak of the practical. The lives of these personalities, there are predecessor acharyas that set the example of how to live our lives in super exalted ways. So it's always elevating and inspiring to look up and hear about them and hear about them again and hear about them again and hear about them again.
I'm convinced.
Okay. I didn't. You were a pushover. You like it here.
Very much so.
Yeah, you fit in really well. And everyone likes you too.
I hope so.
Oh. Well, there may be some private stuff going on. I don't know, but I think everybody likes you.
He's such a cool guy.
What's that?
He's such a cool guy.
He's such a cool guy. Yep. Has anybody ever told you you're such a cool guy?
First I heard that one.
I like how eager you are to hear, and then you always have something very thoughtful to share, and then, you know, a thoughtful question following that. So it's like, I'm very happy that you're here. I mean, I'm sure you're happy to be where you were before too, but we're happy that you're here. Okay, here's the 6 Goswamis. You don't need an introduction because you know who they are. And you see what they're doing. They all have their writings with them. Some have their writing instruments in their hand. And they're all in deep renunciation. We're going to hear about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. When he reached Vrindavan, right away he went to Rupa and Sanatan, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told him to do that, so he did that. But he would have been happy to do that anyways. He had never met them. They had never met him. But they heard about him and heard about them, and when they met, it was a very wonderful scene. And immediately they wrote a nice letter to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying he arrived, and he's been introduced to all the, they listed in their letter, they listed the names of whom they were in association with now, and everyone was appreciating his excellent qualities and scholarship, and the final was, and he very quickly adopted the lifestyle of an ascetic mendicant. I mean, that's Vrindavan, and that's the association that he moved into, and he immediately accepted. But not that he was attached, but he took the lifestyle very quickly. And here they are, the 6 Goswamis. Many of you know the Sad Goswami Astaka, the 6 Goswamis, the song about the 6 Ashtaka, the 8 prayers. The author of those 8 prayers was Srinivasacharya, and Srinivasacharya was his disciple. But he had affinity for all 6, and because where did he get that from? You know, from his own heart. Of course, he studied under Jiva Goswami, but he accepted Diksha from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So we'll move on. I became inspired a little bit when I came to know that there's a Ashtakam, or excuse me, Panchakam, written by Kavi Karnapur specifically about Gopal Bhatta. Now, he's not the only one. There's others, but it's part of the lifestyle of those who are Sanskrit connoisseurs to express themselves in choice poetry, and they like to glorify Krishna like anything, but they also like to glorify the devotees of Krishna like anything. So here's one. Kavi Karnapur wrote about Gopal Bhatta, and Raghunath Das Goswami wrote about Rupa Goswami Ashtakam. Jiva Goswami wrote about Krishnadas Kaviraj. Now, Jiva Goswami was elder, but he's writing an Ashtakam about Krishnadas Kaviraj. It's part of the culture. Here's a painting of Srinivasacharya, or a drawing, and they became renunciates. Chaktva Turnamashesha Mandalapati Shranim Sada Tuchavat. They gave it all up. They were from aristocratic circle, Mandalapati, and they gave it all up. And they instead adopted the renunciate lifestyle. Although Srinivasa Acharya is, for example, one who was nicely situated in Grahastha ashram and was every bit as much detached. He accepted marriage at the request of his very spiritually elevated mother. His father died when he was young, etc., etc., etc. She made that request. The Narahari Chakravarti, who he learned scriptures from and had profound regard, he also requested that of Srinivasacharya, and so he accepted, but it wasn't the ordinary kind of, why somebody gets married, he or she get married. It was on a very different platform. So the different platform is this one. This is Rupa Goswami. Let's say together. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjataha nirbandha krishna sandande yuktam-vairagya uchate. So this is describing the principle of Yukta-vairagya, or engaging things that are in relation to Hari, Krishna Sambandha, in relation to Krishna, without attachment to those things. And so that can be in any ashram or any position. The Goswamis were in their particular position, and Srinivasacharya was in his particular position. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in his particular position as a householder with a number of children, but also without attachment, and fully attached to Krishna, or as it's translated rightly, situated above possessiveness. This word possessiveness has its role in spiritual life also, but the possessiveness is between Krishna and his devotees. This mamata, or the possessiveness, that the devotee feels that Krishna is mine, or conversely, Krishna feels this devotee is mine. I mean, everything is Krishna's, but it's part of an intense relationship. The little quote at the bottom doesn't say exactly where it's from, but it's up there on the left. Radha, you are the queen of the heart of Govinda. Please engage me in your service. So he was in this mood of a manjari or gopi, wishing to be in his spiritual role in the service of Radha. There's engage me in your service. You are the queen of the heart of Govinda. So there's a nice teaching about the gopis. There's many nice teachings about the gopis. And one of them is there's groups and groups and subgroups of those subgroups and so on. And in some general broad divisions, some see themselves like this, as devoted to Radha. And some see them as devoted to Krishna's pleasure, and Radha is the best one to give Krishna's pleasure, but their devotion is specifically to Krishna's happiness. And some wish to see bringing the two, Radha and Krishna, together. It's not like if you're in this bucket, you can't do the other thing. But there's a predominant mood of loving dealing, even amongst the manjaris and gopis. So one of the spiritual positions of Gopal Bhatta is this one. Do you know who is Ananga Manjari? Any idea? Ananga, I'm asking this young man over here. Huh? Any of the girls know? She's poking. Do you know? Do you know who Radharani's elder brother is? Did you know Radharani had an elder brother? Yes? Remember his name? Sridham? Yeah, good. And did you know that Radharani had a younger sister? And what's the younger sister's name? Ananga Manjari, right. Very good. So Ananga Manjari is the divine younger sister of Srimati Radharani, and Gopal Bhatta in Krishna Lila is Ananga Manjari. Pretty elevated, huh? Pretty elevated. And Gaura Gunadeshtipika says she is also identified as Guna Manjari. Now here's a little background about Gunamanjari. One of the young ISKCON artists named Vrinda, she made this nice painting of Gunamanjari. Gunamanjari was the daughter of Chandrabhanu. Chandrabhanu and Radharani's father were brothers, Rishabhanu and Chandrabhanu, and there are 3 other Bhanus. So that means Gunamanjari was Radharani's cousin. And Gunamanjari was one of the chief manjaris of Champakalata. Champakalata is one of the Ashtasakis, and Gunamanjari is her chief manjari, just like Rupa Manjari was the chief Saki of Lalita. I mean, what do we know about all these things? We hear from our great authorities, and so we know some things we say because they said, this is microphone, so we say it's microphone. What do we know? In Gauragona Desh Dipika, this color that she's wearing is described in Gauragona Desh Dipika. Her attire is the color of red jaba flower. I don't know what a red... Huh?
The Kali worshipper, they use those red.
Huh? Hibiscus.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what hibiscus is. Huh? Shiva flower. So that was that. That's the color of her dress. And it says her complexion, interesting, doesn't say golden like molten gold. It's like lightning. Her complexion is like, how do you draw a complexion like lightning? And she had a very strong desire to make Rupa Manjari happy. According to Gunadesh Dipika, that's her mood. And you see she's holding in her hand. She's holding in her hand the deity of Radharaman. And there's a very nice prayer by Srinivasacharya to Gunamanjari, because apparently he, the disciple of Gopal Bhatta, saw his guru as Gunamanjari. So he wrote this nice prayer to her. Oh, Gunamanjari, the embodiment of divine love, please listen to my prayer. As I ponder upon your countless qualities, my mind simply becomes enchanted by you. Seeing me as a distressed soul, please constantly bestow your mercy upon me. Due to your own magnanimous nature, please fulfill my desire. Besides you, who, like the water-laden cloud of the monsoon, will quench my thirst. You are undoubtedly the hope for the hopeless. In my heart, I am completely convinced about that. I beg you to kindly look upon me with your tender eyes shining with sympathy. And it's beautiful poetry, and who can imagine what Srinivasacharya's experience was seeing his spiritual master in this way. It's another world, literally. It's poetic, but it's poetry that's expressing their heart's realization. So we can only from afar be amazed at elevated state of Gopal Bhatta and his disciple Srinivasacharya. We know from his childhood. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get everyone's attention again. You're pretty attentive. You play mridanga? All right, but you're really attentive in class. Look at you, got your notebook and the whole thing. Pretty amazing. So amongst our youth, if you're, You're not one of the youth. So if you're one of the youth, where did Gopal Bhatta grow up when he was a little boy? Where was his home? Yes, South India. Where in South India? You know? No. Where's that? Sri Rangam, right. Very good. So Sri Rangam is the place where the temple of Sri Ranganath is, and this Ranganath deity is huge deity. Maybe one day you'll get a chance to go to South India and go to Sri Rangam, and you'll see this deity. He's really, really big. I mean, he's really big. In front is the Utsav Murti, where they have festivals and do the worship for the deity that's in the front, and Sri and Bhu on either side, but they're worshipping Lord Vishnu in the form of Ranganath. Ranga means waves, and Nath means the Lord of the waves. So Mahavishnu and Garbhadaksha Vishnu with his Mahavishnu, he's lying on the bed of Anantashesh, who's riding on the waves of the causal ocean. And there's a close-up of his form. He looks pretty relaxed. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India from Jagannath Puri, he happened to come to the temple of Ranganath, or in Sri Rangam, around the time of the rainy season. Many things happened. The chief priest happened to come when he was in a state of swooned ecstasy. He requested that he come to his home. He came to his home, invited him to stay for the 4 months of the rainy season, and he did. Some of us went to Sri Rangam, and we were very fortunate to go to the house where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed for 4 months. Now I'm trying to remember the name. My memory is shot, but the current.
Well, when I went there, when you went.
I forgot his name. What? Say it again. Rangaraj. It was a younger one. So the Bhatta family. It's a title, but he took us around. Parashara Bhatt. No, yes, it was Parashara Bhatt. The current.
We stayed over in the house.
In the house.
It was Gorkesha was like, in tight with all.
Oh yeah. So
I couldn't sleep because Rangaraj Bhatt snored so loud. You hear it. 4 or 5 blocks away.
When we went inside, there was it's like, well, you've been around, so it's like the first time I went to the Hawaii temple. No, just listen. They put me in the guest room at the Hawaii temple, and I saw every morning someone's going down the hall and carrying something, and then they came out carrying that something. They were doing a puja in that room at the end of the hall.
Prabhupada's room.
Yeah, Prabhupada's room. So I didn't know it was Prabhupada's room. I just saw the person going up and down because my door was open. So I, snooped around, and when nobody was around, I looked in the room. When I walked into the room, I felt something. This wow, the place, this whole energy from the room. And I was told that Prabhupada spent a lot of time there translating his books. And those of you that have been to 26 Second Avenue, it's a similar kind of feeling when you walk in the place. There's, they changed the wood because the wood was shot. They put a new floor in. But the walls are the same walls. And it's just that vibration from Prabhupada's chanting so much in that place. Or Prabhupada's quarters in Vrindavan. So this place, Parashara Bhatt's, their home, it was those walls that are like 3 feet thick, and there was like nothing in the place. It was just space and a big table. And so I looked at him and said, "Where did Lord Chaitanya stay?" I just asked. And he went like this. He said he lived the house was his for 4 months. So for 4 months, he stayed at the house of Venkata Bhatta, who was the father of Gopal Bhatta. And when they washed the feet of the sannyasi, he got a little of that charnamrita. And according to the biography of his life, symptoms of ecstasy immediately erupted in his body. Little boy. So 7 to 10, not exactly known how long, how old he was, but sometimes it says 7. In the course of their time together, they would have discussions on spiritual topics. Many of you know this little pastime, so I won't belabor it too much. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did what he would do sometimes. He would ask a question and seek the answer from Venkata Bhatta. So he asked a question of Venkata Bhatta. It's a good question. It is understood that Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is most chaste. She's absolutely chaste to Narayan. Could you please explain why Lakshmi left the lotus feet of Narayan and tried to enter into the rasa dance of Krishna? And Venkata Bhatta said, no problem, because Krishna and Narayan are the same, so there was no lack of chastity on her part. And Lord Chaitanya said, very well, Krishna and Narayan are the same, but she couldn't enter the rasa dance. So if they're the same, why she couldn't enter the rasa dance? And not only she couldn't enter the rasa dance, but she, the goddess of fortune, underwent austerities to enter the rasa dance, and she was still unable to enter into the rasa dance. Could you please explain? Venkata Bhatta said, no, I can't, but I think you can. Can you explain? And so he explained. She is in a different mood. She's in the Aishvarya mood because she's the goddess of fortune, the wife of Narayana, the all opulent supreme Narayana. And that's her mood. And that mood doesn't fit with rasa dance. So although she underwent austerities, the mood didn't change so she was unable to enter. And therefore, those who could enter the rasa dance, they're even by rasa, in a different mood or mellow of love with Krishna, they could enter the rasa dance. That's why. And he accepted. And other exchanges with the family, specifically with Venkata Bhatta, Venkata Bhatta had 2 brothers. Tirumala Bhatta was one of the brothers, less known, and Prabodhananda Saraswati was the second brother. So Prabodhananda Saraswati decided to accept the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In course of time, he shifted his residence from Sri Ranga, the Ranganath in Sri Rangam, to Vrindavan. Many of you who have been to Vrindavan, you know he resided on the backside of Kaliyagat, and from there he wrote wonderful, 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 wonderful literature, glorifying Chaitanya and glorifying Vrindavan. Vrindavan Mahimamrita and Chaitanya Chandramrita, and it's very elevated, very poetic, very beautiful, inspired composition. From that association, he became like that. Gopal Bhatta became like that. He wanted to travel. A little boy, he wanted to go with Lord Chaitanya when Lord Chaitanya left. One day, because he would allow Gopal Bhatta to do some personal service for him, one day, according to his biography, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to him, to Gopal, You are an eternal associate of Radha in Vrindavan, which he is. And Gopal said, and you, my lord, are the son of Nanda Maharaj, who has assumed the form of a mendicant sannyasi. So they're engaging with one another, understanding their spiritual identity beyond the physical form or the manifest form. 4 months of that kind of association. That very same night, Gopal Bhatta had a dream. Would you like to hear about his dream?
Yeah.
Me too. It's really nice. Lord Chaitanya appeared in his dream. And then Lord Chaitanya said in his dream that I am none different than Shyamasundara, Brajendra Nandana Nandana. Brajendra Nandana, the original two-hand form of Krishna playing upon flute. And then in his dream, Lord Chaitanya transformed himself into the form of Shyamasundar, holding his flute. And then he transformed himself back into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him in his dream, you will meet two jewel-like persons, Rupa and Sanatan, excuse me. I have given them my mentality to publish my teachings. However, by your disciples, these teachings will spread to every town and village. Little boy, 7 years old, having a dream. That very same night that Lord Chaitanya spoke to him like this. When it was time at the end of the 4 months to leave, Yukta-vairagya, he is obliged by duty. He's the chief priest, so he stayed in Srirangam. His son wanted to go, but Lord Chaitanya's parting instructions to the boy, 7-year-old boy, for now, stay here and serve your father and mother. After they have departed this world, you may go to Vrindavan and join Rupa and Sanatana. Always engage yourself in hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna. And he left. And Yukta-vairagya fainted. Prabodhananda Saraswati later gave Diksha to Gopal, because it's not, the father doesn't give Diksha to his son, so the uncle gave Diksha to his son. And for another 22 years, he remained in Srirangam. And whilst remaining in Srirangam, he wasn't idle. He was very busy in his studies. And it's said that he compiled 2 books which later were published by the Goswamis. Now, there's different versions, but the version that I understand is the closest to what really happened. Do you know some people? I know some people. Ganapati Maharaj is one who would keep like super notes. Jai Gopal, you're nodding your head. Have you seen his notes?
I haven't.
Like amazing. You know, this is before there was computers. He just notes and and he knew where stuff was. I keep notes and I don't know where I put it. Gopal kept notes on 2 things. He loved Srimad Bhagavatam, so he took very, very careful notes on Srimad Bhagavatam. And studied. And of course, he's been told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who he is, an intimate associate of Radharani. Didn't say her name, but an intimate associate of Radharani. And in that mood, he's reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the ways to analyze Bhagavatam is topic by topic. So he put together what later became the Sat Sandarbhas, and when he reached Vrindavan, he gave the manuscript to Jiva Goswami and requested 2 things. 1, please put it into publishable form. Now, we heard yesterday evening, if you were tuned in, you heard yesterday evening, he, Jiva Goswami, before he moved to Vrindavan, was already making commentary on Sarva Samvadani, which is a commentary on the Sandarbhas, but specifically a commentary on Tattva Sandarbha, which he learned completely while he was in Benares with Madhusudana Vachaspati, because Madhusudana Vachaspati taught Jiva Goswami not only the Vaishnava teaching, the Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings, but he taught him the other 6, the non-devotional renderings of the Vedas. So he knew what they were, he knew where the holes in the bucket were, and he knew Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings. So he is writing Sarva Samvadani before he went to Vrindavan. And then he gets to Vrindavan, and later Rupa Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami gives him this manuscript and says, please put it in order, its publishable form. That's one request. And the other was, don't mention my name. What do you think of that? Okay? Okay. So he did. Jiva Goswami did both things, and he said, one, Bhatta, he didn't say Gopal. Bhatta means a learned person. So one, Bhatta gave me this service, and now I'm putting it together in the form of the Sandarbhas. Now, Sandarbhas, my understanding is very poor, but it goes like this. Sandarbha, the term Sandarbha, it's just a type of literature, like Champu is a type of literature, and it follows certain standard rules. Sandarbha has this and this and this. A Champu has that and that and that. So he wrote Gopal Champu, and he wrote this Jiva Goswami. Among his 400,000 verses that he wrote, it's the Sandarbhas. So it's a particular form, given to him by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And another is because Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the son of the chief priest in Srirangam, he knew all the procedures of deity worship, and not only deity worship, everything involving the life, the rituals and the how-to things that a Vaishnava does. And he knew very well the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was able to put the two together and take the standards and rituals that Sri Vaishnavas follow that are strictly from scriptures, and with the nice flavor of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And he put all of that together in a text, gave it to Sanatana Goswami in the same request. Please put it in a publishable form, and don't mention my name. Humility. I hope it's like super evident. This is Goswami number 5 of 6. And that's one feature. I mean, there's several features they have in common, but humility is very, very prominent. Great combination. Elevated persons, very learned persons, generally a little proud. Not always, but generally. And very humble people are not necessarily very learned. But these Goswamis were both absolutely humble and absolutely vastly learned. I mean, he's a 7-year-old. He knows what his spiritual form is. And an intimate associate of Radharani. And he grew up. And reading Bhagavatam and engage in deity worship and all those nice things. So he lived there for another 22 years. His parents departed this world, and that was the signal. Now, when he left Sri Rangam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still alive. He was still in Jagannath Puri. But he didn't go to Jagannath Puri to be with Lord Chaitanya. He did what Lord Chaitanya said. Go to Rupa and Sanatan. So he made a beeline to Vrindavan. Here's a painting on a wall in Sri Rangam showing there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving teachings to little Gopal and the other family members. Venkata Bhatta, Tirumala Bhatta, Prabodhananda Saraswati, and I guess these are two wives of the family members, and little Gopal. So he remained in Sri Rangam for 30 years, according to this biography. So the 22 plus 7 makes 29. But so maybe he was 8 years old, plus 22. 45 years he lived in Vrindavan. That's easy math. How old was he when he left this world? Yeah. 74? 75, yeah. Just checking your math. So he didn't go to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he knew he was there. He followed the instructions. They sent this letter, I mentioned already, and in the same letter, according to his biography, mention was made to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that not only he's here and he's fitting in, he's become a bit of a mendicant. I had a dream in which my deity, Govindaji, appeared in my dream and instructed me, or requested, that Gopal would become his pujari. His pujari. He didn't become his pujari, he worshipped in a different way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote a nice letter back to Rupa and Sanatan, saying, take care of him like your own son, and many other nice things. The text of that letter is found somewhere. And he sent some gift, celebrated gift, some personal items, a loincloth and a gadi. Gadi means a little wooden hardwood platform about 12 inches tall, and kind of place to sit on to do your puja. Many people in South India have such a thing, and Lord Chaitanya used such a thing, and he sent it as a gift to Gopal Bhatta. I don't know if you've been to the temple of Radharani, but it's an item of paraphernalia that they worship because it's Tadiya. It's worshipable paraphernalia used by Lord Chaitanya. And he gave this instruction in the letter. Do not become dependent upon security or adopt a permanent residence. Please spend most of your time assisting Rupa and Sanatan in compiling transcendental literature, and thoroughly study this literature as well, meaning their literature. Very succinct, very explicit. And after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed, and after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed, who he had never met, he had his association, he didn't meet him other than those 4 months. He was feeling great separation. So in a dream, Lord Chaitanya appeared and gave this instruction. If you want my darshan, then make a trip to Nepal. He left the world. How's he going to get his darshan? By going to Nepal. Well, this is the Mandakini River, where it is a place where somehow or other there are Shalagram Shilas in the river. There's a very nice story. There's a few variations on the story. But he went and Nepal, went to the Mandakini River. He had a little bucket, and in his bucket he placed some Shalagram Shilas, and he started walking and figured, no, I don't have the qualification to worship Shalagram. There's different versions. So he placed them back, and they jumped back in his bucket, and placed them back, and they jumped back in his bucket, and that's one nice version. So he understood they want to be worshipped. So he took 12 Shilas with him back to Vrindavan. And he didn't have a place, didn't have a temple, didn't have anything, but he worshipped them daily in ways that he had learned from his childhood, how to worship. And on the way, we'll get to that in a moment, from his Damodar Shila, he had this desire to have a deity form that he could decorate and worship, but it's, with paraphernalia and garments. One version says there was a very wealthy merchant that came to visit Vrindavan, and he gave gifts of nice ornaments and nice clothing and nice this and that to the Goswamis for their deities. They gave some to him, but he had shilas. It couldn't be used, so he had this desire. And so he did his puja in the evening, took rest, and when he went in the morning, he saw 11 shilas, and one was missing. So he was surprised and searched, and he found the 12th shila had manifest this form from his Damodar shila. This was one day after Nrsimha Chaturdasi, and he was amazed. And he immediately informed the Goswamis, the other Rupa and Sanatan, and they made these comments. One deity has the face, the other deity has the chest, the other deity has the legs, your deity has all. The form of the Supreme Lord, so we're going to call him Radharani. They named him. And then after some time, when he's worshipping Radharani very nicely, a young Brahmana came to his door. And he said, I'm here to serve you. And the young Brahmana, he asked, who are you? He said, my name is Gopinath. Well, excuse me, but how did you know to come here? He said, my father told me to come here. Then he reminded him, when you're way to Nepal, you stop by my father's home. And my father saw you, and he accepted you as a resident in his home for the evening, and he gave you your meal, and you were very cordial exchange. I was not born yet. My father asked you for your blessings to have a son. You gave blessing to my father that he would have a son, and I'm that son. And now I'm grown up, and here I am to serve you. So Gopal Bhatta took it as providential, and he then gave him the Diksha, Gopinath Pujari, along with Srinivasacharya Gopinath Pujari, a very celebrated person in that line. So no, Gopinath Pujari got married, Gopal Bhatta didn't get married, so the Goswamis of the Radha-Raman temple are descendants of Gopinath Pujari through seminal line, but also training and we would assume qualification. So there's the place where Gopal Bhatta spent the night near Haridwar, and there's a very nice photograph of Radharani, very photogenic deity. But, oh yeah, excuse me. It wasn't Gopinath. Gopinath had a younger brother. I'm doing an edit. Gopinath had a younger brother. And his younger brother was named Damodar Das. His younger brother became married, and his Damodar Das's descendants that are now the Goswamis of the Radharani temple. There he is, the photogenic one, Radharani. And look closely, this is a self-manifesting deity. Look closely at his mouth, at his fingers. You know, if you were to try to carve from stone, how could you do all that? Gentle smile, details and details. When he began worshiping, he had no place to worship. So he kept the deity in a tree. And at night, because there's robbers, at night he had his deity placed in a boat that was anchored in the middle of a lake and protected by guards with poison-tipped arrows, bows, to protect the deity. So he was a Brahmana, but he was protective, because there was a relationship of love between him and his deity. It is said, sometime, I don't know when, but there were some scientists that heard this, that he was a self-manifesting deity. They asked permission, the pujaris gave permission, they supervised the whole thing. They wanted to see, is there signs that he was carved or self-manifesting? So they found, this report says, there was a bulge on the backside of the Shila from which the form of Radharani was manifest, but no sign of carving. Anyway, it's a detail. He's a pretty dapper dresser, huh? I remember, do you remember when Padmanabha Goswami came and visited and toured in North America? So when Prabhupada was, Vishnubar is the elder, his son, yeah, he came to the U.S., did slideshows. I mean, did slideshows, so they were like, okay. You have a good memory, man.
No, I mean, I'm living here.
Okay. Well, your memory is pretty good.
What?
Your memory is very good.
When I'm away.
Much better than mine. And
Don't remember.
you have a good memory. It's a compliment. Don't say no. You have a good
But I
memory.
spoke with BP, California, for a couple hours. I never spoke with Padmanabha.
Okay. Vishwambar came to California?
Yeah.
Really?
Came up to Bhaktivedanta Gurukula, and he took some regular CC classes from public books.
No kidding.
He was telling me about the whole culture of Radha Raman, how the women had never left the compound until 20 years before they started, just 20 years from the time we were speaking. They had just started going out of the compound and stuff.
During Prabhupada's lifetime, a very dear friend of Prabhupada was Vishwambar Goswami. I mean, all I remember of Vishwambar Goswami was that he was the most respected, like up here, he was the most
Vrindavan. He was the mayor.
he was the mayor of Vrindavan.
Not
Okay.
his term.
Well, when it came to the installation of Krishna Balaram, Prabhupada engaged him as there's different persons that do different things during installation. He was the referee. He's the one that saw that everything went properly. So later, Prabhupada's calculation was people couldn't criticize. It was done by these Malecha Western people. It was done by the Goswamis themselves, headed by Vishwambar Goswami. So it was like pristine. And it was so he was very kind. He had an affectionate relationship with Prabhupada, very affectionate.
That went back to Madhusudan was his grandfather, so he was friends with Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktisiddhanta.
Yeah.
Back at the beginning.
Yeah, back and back and back. So a lot of cross-pollination between the Goswamis of Radharaman and our sampradaya and our teachings, etc., etc. I remember Padmanabha came, and it was like when they had, I forget the technology at the time, it wasn't like a computer. It was a way of putting little slides into a machine, and you had a carousel. And
Microfiche.
slide projector, a slide projector, yeah. That was the technology. And so I remember very clearly explaining, there's a festival almost every day for Radharaman. And every year, on this day, they do this, and the next year they do that. So I don't know which one this one is, but he's got a pretty fancy crown on, and he's got a certain kind of flute on, and he's got a certain kind of stick that's leaning against his arm, and it's a little different each festival day. And it's a big deal. The temple room is very small, but the place is packed, and people go wild, and they're waiting and anticipating, and very nice. In Bhakti Ratnakar, what's written, We've heard about Bhakti Ratnakar in previous classes. Whatever desires manifest in the heart of Gopal Bhatta, Radharaman would fulfill. They had very intimate relationship. And of course, he had no desires other than in relation to Krishna, and Radharaman fulfilled them. Everything. So he's very photographic.
So what's the relation between Shivatsa Goswami and Padmanabha? Because he was the one that used to travel around also.
I don't know. I don't know the relationship. Gaur Keshava would know.
Yeah.
He's not in the room.
I'm sure.
Okay. So now here's a little information about where's Radharani. You notice. Where's Radharani? Because the Goswamis always worshipped Radha along the side of Krishna. He's Radharaman. So where's Radha? Well, one answer is that the Shila is already Krishna, and he manifested from a Shila. And so what did they do? What do they do? Although Radharani's form is not present, she's present in her name form. Her name is inscribed in Sanskrit on a feather, placed beneath a cloth, or sometimes a crown. This is what they say is by the side. So there's something by the side of Radharaman, and what's the something is Radharani in the form of her name. And there's another photograph up on the altar.
Always has different clothes in every photo.
Yeah. Oh, very colorful. Worship. Very elevated place. One time, Bhugarbha Goswami, who was a contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those of you that have been to the Radha Damodar temple, over in the courtyard where Rupa Goswami's Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir is, way over in the corner there's another Samadhi, and that other Samadhi is the Samadhi of Bhargava Goswami. Bhargava Goswami and Lokanath Goswami were both Bhugarbha. Did I say Garba? Okay, Bhargava. Okay, excuse me. Bhargava. Bhargava Goswami. Thank you for correcting me. His samadhi is in the corner of that courtyard, and he was a contemporary with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who sent Bhugarbha and Lokanath ahead of him, saying, I'm going to visit Vrindavan sometime, please go there and make arrangements for us so we can be together in Vrindavan. So they went to Vrindavan in separation from Lord Chaitanya. So Bhugarbha Goswami sometimes would watch Gopal Bhatta worship his Shilas and, of course, Radharaman. And he was amazed, it's described in his biography, the type of devotion with which the Shilas were worshipped. Now, this must be a summer scene because he's scantily dressed. Very photographic deity.
And it's also the way they dress them. It's not just the camera.
Yeah. This is said about the worship. Now, it's not when the present pujaris worship, he transforms his form into Lord Chaitanya. But when Gopal Bhatta, because his love, it is said the deity form of the Lord accepts the love and shows that form according to the love of the devotee. So his love was like that. And just like in his dreams, so sometimes Radharaman would manifest his form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who can imagine how elevated these Vaishnavas were? It's said about him, he had the stature of a king, the presence of the best of brahmanas, and his eyes and smile radiated compassion. And there he is writing. So we're going to see a list of his writings, but before we see a list of his writings, he spent time, as did the other Goswamis, sometimes at Radhakund. And this is his place at Radhakund. And his deities at Radhakund are here. On the left is Revati Balaram on the right, and deity of Radharaman on the left, with Radha by her side, or his side. One of the books that he wrote was this Sat Kriya Saradipika. Now, he allowed his name to be attached to the title. And the translation literally means illuminations on the essence of rituals to be performed by devotees. This is one of the according to Mahaprabhu, 198 books that have been translated from Sanskrit by Bhanu Swami, probably, and counting. That's a lot of books. And that's been translated by Bhanu Swami, this book on the essential rituals performed by devotees, and along with the rituals are the principles or tenets of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He compiled, or he edited, Hari Bhakti Vilas. He wrote a foreword for the Sandarbhas, which he allowed his name to be attached to. And he...
Did Bhanu translate that?
I don't know. That's Sandarbha forward. He wrote a commentary on Krishna Karnamrita. Now, others wrote a commentary on Krishna Karnamrita, but Gopal Bhatta wrote a commentary. This Krishna Karnamrita is a very amazing book. I've not read, but I've read some passages from it, and it's a very amazing book by Bilvamangala Thakur on his relationship and his realizations and exchanges with Krishna. Yeah, you've already mentioned this at the bottom. Specifically, in addition to those two, Hari Bhakti Vilas and the Sandarbhas, when Krishnadas Kaviraj came to the various Vaishnavas in the land of Vrindavan, asking for their blessings that he write Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopal Bhatta gave his blessings on a condition. Don't mention my name. And so he didn't. But of course, the purports and commentaries have his name. Here's, just by the side, it's around and by the side of the temple, Radharaman temple, is his samadhi. Here's what you'll see when you go to visit his samadhi. This is apparently on his appearance day or something, because it's very nicely decorated, and otherwise it's quite simple. And that's our final slide for our discussion about Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
You mentioned something different parts of the body of Radharaman.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning.
Somewhere along the way. When the deity, when Rupa Goswami came to see, he expressed, some of the deities have the face, some of the deities have the upper torso, some have the legs, but Radharaman has all the features, that it's exactly the features of Krishna, and they know because they know Krishna, and so we'll call him Radharaman. That Rupa Goswami gave the name, and that's at least my understanding of.
No, but the feet are Madan Mohan, and the middle part is...
Yeah, you're giving the detail. I just said it quickly. No, I don't know more about it. This is your painting. Go ahead and tell us who's who.
I don't even know. They didn't tell me, they want to remain anonymous.
Yes.
I get it out.
Maybe in your dream you'll have a dream and they'll tell you.
I was thinking of something like the turban would be Gopal Bhatta. And Rupa and Sanat in the middle.
Yeah, of course you're in the middle. Who knows?
You knew that?
No, I've been heard it.
Oh.
Maharaj, we had some discussion about am I the maker of my destiny as per rasa or
Can you pick up the mic?
and as for
No, you had present.
or is it predetermined, pre-existed? So then we came also topics of Venkata, as you have narrated very nicely. I never heard any reference like his brother Prabhudananda Saraswati Thakur,
Yeah.
or Gaur Desh Dibika says is Tunga Vidya Devi. So that's question of Madhurya Ras. And Gopal Bhatta, as you also explained, is one of the
Manjaris.
Manjaris. But Venkata Bhatta, we never heard whether he I don't know if it is a proper word, conversion. We are reforming
He gave his heart to Lord Chaitanya, but he stayed with his duty.
as a Lakshmi Narayan worship.
Yeah, he stayed. Now, what was his mood when doing that worship? I've not read anything that says one way or the other than what I did read is that their whole family accepted Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Krishna himself. Their whole family accepted that. So he accepted that, but what was his mood in worshiping, Ranganath? My understanding is he was obliged. His duty was to worship that way.
Head Pujar?
Yeah, he's head priest. Yeah, you can't goof around.
Second question is when Jananivas Prabhu says Prabhupada told him to go to two temples to learn more about deity worship. And one was this temple,
Uh-huh.
and another one was Keshavji Gaudiya.
Uh-huh.
He said when he went to here, at the Ramanji temple, he said, he personally told me, it's too advanced, like a Raga Marg. We don't do exactly like this. I said, so did you report to Prabhupada? He said, no, I didn't go at that time. I went after. But I thought like, okay, just the way Prabhupada said we're going to do. But Prabhupada did tell him to go there.
He also told Yamuna to study the deity worship there.
So I want to understand from you what is take away from this. At least in my life, what should I think?
We follow Prabhupada. And I don't know what was in Prabhupada's mind when he asked Jananivas to go there. It's not to revamp the deity worship of ISKCON. Because he gave the standards that he wanted for ISKCON. He personally instructed XYZ devotees, Jamuna was one of them, in deity worship. And so he certainly knew the distinction. It's not like Vishwambar Goswami was a dear friend, so he certainly knew a number of things that he didn't share with the membership of ISKCON, you and me and the membership of ISKCON. Sending Jananivas, I don't know what was in Prabhupada's mind, knowing what was on the other side, but Jananivas processed in a way that an intelligence of Jananivas told him, Super Soul told him, or his training from Prabhupada told him. We don't revamp, we do what Prabhupada wanted us to do.
Makes sense. Thank you.
In those days, Jananivas was famous for just staying in Mayapur. So he probably brought up there.
Yeah, yes. He was,
He never left India for 45 years.
yeah. Here comes the microphone.
I've always wondered how, like, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was Guna Manjari and Ananga Manjari.
How do you have two personalities in one form?
Because there's a few different personalities in Chaitanya Leela that have two different. I was just wondering.
I'll say what my understanding is, then I'll invite the learned senior devotees in the room to say whatever their understanding is. My understanding goes like this. It's not, there's multiple souls. That's not the case. So what is it if it's not multiple souls? It's one soul with the mood and the language that's used. I mentioned it briefly in the morning class, but an angsa of that personality is invested in such and such a devotee. The mood and the bhava of that devotee, and it's an expansion of the original. So it's not that in Goloka Vrindavan, each of these personalities hang the shingle out that says, "I'm sorry, I'm absent now. I have to go to the earthly realm and engage in." But it's an expansion of them, and that angsa is then carried by Gopal Bhatta. And there's a mood of Ananga Manjari that's different than the mood of Guna Manjari, and both moods are exhibited by Gopal Bhatta. That's my understanding, an angsa of the eternal associate. Anybody learned Prabhus in the room have a different or something additional you'd like to say on that topic?
You'll probably use one terminology, not probably, but in the Torah certificate it says enter into Visati or Pravishanti. Different words are used. He was asking me the second question.
Yes.
But let's say, who are we talking about? Where Sanatan entered into? Sanatan and into who? No, it's Sanatan of the four Kumar. Yeah.
Sanatana and Lavanga Manjari both enter into Sanatana. But the word enter means...
I showed him, it said entered into.
But what he's saying is correct also. And besides Lavanga Manjari, Sanatana entered into Sanatana Goswami of the four Kumaras. An aspect of the four Kumaras entered into Sanatana Goswami. I mean, it's the same question she's asking, and he's just adding pravishta, entered into. So it's a manifestation of one of the Lord's eternal perfected devotees, an aspect of them, an angsa of them entered into.
When Sobori Muni expanded into 50...
That's different.
No, I'm trying to understand. I'm also in the material world, so I'm trying to grasp little bit. At least everything the original person was doing this duplicate
Yes.
in every house with the 50 wives. So there was not like a two different. But in Krishna's case, when
Yes.
he was getting married and all this,
Yes.
Vasudev Maharaj, Devaki, they expanded into 16,108.
Yes.
So it's not, but they are doing in different things, not just doing the same
Yes.
duplication.
Yes.
But how to?
And this is the third. This is the third example. This is not a Sobri Muni example, nor is it a Krishna example. This is my understanding. When the Supreme Lord so desires, for His pleasure, the demigods can expand an angsa of themselves. Eternal associates can expand an angsa of themselves and enter into the life of a particular person to assist the Lord in His pastimes. That's my understanding. It's a third category than the Sobri Muni or the Krishna and his wives, or wrestling the bulls. Or there's Sanskrit terminology which I'm not remembering right now. When Krishna manifested the seven forms to defeat the seven bulls, they were equal, simultaneously doing different things. not the Sobri Muni thing.
But that's for Krishna. Like,
But and then,
I was
so-
just curious, like whether two separate personality conflict within. I mean, who is the
No.
experiencer? Who is the feeler? It's a one soul.
yeah. But,
Okay.
no,
But he's
wait.
experiencing two different personality.
Well, you're trying to process. That's your the basis of your question is you want to know what's going on here,
Correct.
and it's an angsa. So the angsa can experience, let's say Rati Manjari in Goloka Vrindavan expands herself and is experiencing through this jiva. Rati Manjari is experiencing and manifesting her personality, an angsa of her personality. And why
5
not?
minutes it changes.
Why not?
It changes. Why you say every few minutes change? No, I agree with. I'm just trying to Maharaj.
You're trying to process
I'm
it.
trying to grasp at least some
Okay.
way. Like for an example, is the most conflicting one is Purnananda, who is Gadadhar Das, not Gadadhar Pandit. So Prabhupada writes, he is also Chandramukhi. He has a personality of Balaram, Sakhi, or Gopi, also Krishna's Gopi. How is that possible in
Why
one
not?
personality? No, I'm not challenging, but
When the Lord wants, anything's possible.
Okay.
So don't put any constraints because you can't conceive of it. He wants. Voila. Bhavati.
What about the 4.5 million bodyguards that we were saying?
There's commentary on that particular item. It's-
Okay.
there's-
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's there's commentary on that particular the number of how many bodyguards were saying like where they all fit, where they come from, and all that stuff. How big was Dwarka, and it goes into this talk. Our modern talk is the Sadhaputa higher dimensional space talk. It's not. It's like the lotus of Vrindavan expands and closes. Krishna can travel from that place to that place in a jiffy because, like a lotus expand, that's Prabhupada's explanation. The lotus petals expand and they close, and just distances became less, or they become greater. For Krishna's time and space is not a constraint. So, and where they all fit, where they all come from, no problem. It just expands the space so they all fit. And how many jivas are there? Unlimited. So no problem.
So Maharaj, can I just
There's no
explain
outside?
one little more? Otherwise,
No
I-
outside, no inside. You already know the shlokas. What are you talking about?
No, I know, but because Maharaj
He's
is
testing me.
different dimension. I love Maharaj's way of thinking. Maharaj, what about Jagai Madai?
What about them?
They are experiencing of Ras Leela in Srivas Thakur, whatever expansion, I don't know. But they are also Jai Vijay. So is there a conflict within them? It's not same thing. It's awe and reverence versus awe and reverence evoke submission, where sweet aspect evoke affection, but it conflicts.
You're in Shiva's Anam?
Yes, they were there in Sivashangan Jagai Madai.
They were?
Yes.
I thought that took place after all that.
No. Jagai Madai was there in Sivashangan.
They caught the tail end of it. They didn't get it all.
Maharaj, I'm tiny, insignificant living being, but I'm trying to at least grasp something. Otherwise, this doubt will be like hovering in me.
I'm slow in processing because I haven't even. I can take principle because I don't know the detail, so I can only take principle. And the principle, I've already said twice. I'll say it again. The principle is an angsa of by the Lord's desire, doesn't happen otherwise. By the Lord's desire, an angsa can enter into a jiva, enter into the body of the jiva, the body that the jiva is occupying, and in a certain mood. It's possible by the Lord's desire. And if there's a conflicting mood, that's particularly what you're questioning.
Yeah.
Not just how did it happen, but what about this mood is in conflict with that mood. So how can you have the two moods that are in conflict with one another? For your question.
Correct.
But Ramananda Roy is.
Wait. Just so you answer, but let me just have a dialogue with him, and then you.
He wants to get to the point where you can't answer.
I don't think that's his motive. He wants to get some insight into something that he's pondered for some time, and having this, a forum. There's people listening, and people are going like, "What are they talking about?" But so it's nice to have this kind of discussion, and it's nice to have other people listening to a discussion like this. And how do we conduct our discussions on very elevated topics that are, very up there and kind of beyond our reach? So how do you approach that which is beyond your reach when a topic comes up? It's educational for the rest of the people here.
I see you are dwelling in it.
But so part of two things. I process things very slowly, and I've never thought of this before, so it's going to take a while to process it because I process slowly. And the other thing is, I don't like to just off the top of my head say blah. Yeah, I'd like to know there's some authority behind something, and then it may not be part of my realization, but I can speak. This is a microphone, because I heard it from my father. This is a microphone. So I heard it from some authority that says, but I can't think of an authoritative statement other than the principle that I was just on the path of trying to express when Pushkar wanted to jump in and tease you a little
This is
bit.
the first time you're hearing that Jai Vijay.
It's the first time I've heard it.
Me too. So
But he knows it, and I accept it as a fact. His question is, how does he have these two conflicting moods? That's his question.
Correct.
And so it's on reverence, and then it's something else going on at the same time. Do you want to add?
Maharaj, when we're meeting somebody from another religion, we, in a simple way, tell them we worship Krishna is God when he's at home. Like the high court judge is a different mood. It's the same person, but at different time and place, he's in a different mood.
Okay.
Can't that happen?
Yeah, sure. That's a different topic, though. Because what he's saying is simultaneously this and that. No, what she's saying is,
No, they understand. I have no problem on that.
I don't either.
When
You're saying something else.
reverence versus sweet, I'm not.
No problem.
I'm saying
Why
that
do-
simultaneously both does not exist. It's very difficult.
Why does it have to be simultaneous? That's what
Because it
when
is
they're
simultaneously, when
being
person
Jai and
is individual, who is the pillar? That's the question. The feeling is real. The pillar is real. It's an individual soul under internal potential.
Okay.
he's answering now.
Kuranath wants to contribute.
I was just going to, on the topic of Jai and Vijay, this came up in a class I gave here not too long ago. One Bodhi, I think Trivikram, asked me, they were cursed to take birth 3 times as demons. Why did they come back? And I responded that I asked the same question to Rajendra Nandana, and that he said that wasn't because of the curse, but because when Lord Chaitanya was present, all of the personalities, the demigods and residents of Vaikuntha wanted to
Experience.
participate in the special sweetness that Lord Chaitanya was Lord Chaitanya was freely giving out Vrindavan love, so that Jai and Vijay wanted to come to participate, and they acted out their Leela of being demons first, but they really wanted to get some of the special bhakti that Lord Chaitanya was distributing.
That's a different question. It's altogether a different question. It's a nice question,
Yes.
but it's altogether a different question. And I have a different answer to Rajendra's question than Rajendra's answer.
But I meant that it wasn't a conflict because they were getting this. They were able to, even though they were in the mood of on reverence in Vaikuntha, they were able to experience a different mood in Lord Chaitanya's Leela by Lord Chaitanya's grace. So it wasn't a conflict so much. Okay, what's your answer?
No, I'm still pondering. So process slowly, and some authoritative statement in response to this. Now, what he said and what she said, they're very sweet understandings. It doesn't directly address your question. It's nice, but it doesn't address
So
your
I could
question.
ask this question. Everyone who was in the Shiva Sangam, like that milk, brahmachari who drank only milk, I mean, everyone there was in this. No, but he was allowed. He brought him back.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about that one personality, individual personality, experiencing, feeling
Two
two
different
conflicting rasa. How is possible?
at the same time.
Yeah, and what about the same time? Where did you get the same time?
Anyway,
I mean, couldn't they
Well, that's him.
I'll send you, Maharaj, the reference from Prabhupada's purport.
Okay, so let's put a pause on this. Let's put a pause on this. You want to add something? No.
I mean, who am I to say something? But I was just thinking, like in Nectar of Devotion in the later chapters, like we hear about all these different mixing of different rasas, you know. It's not just madhurya or not just, you know, there's mixing. So I'm just thinking, so why not?
Why not?
Why not that different personalities with different rasas, you know, different moods are there in the same person?
Well, let me ask you a question in relation to the mixing. Relation to the mixing of rasas. Is it simultaneous, or sometimes and sometimes? My understanding of the mixing is sometimes and sometimes, not simultaneously this and that. That's his question. And he's gonna.
I read what she's talking.
I have too. So have I.
Aparasa, Uparasa, and Mishra Rasa.
But they're not simultaneous.
No, like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he did not really welcome Krishna in awe and reverence. He was so overwhelmed, he embraced Krishna and he was crying. And later on he realized, why did I not bathe his feet and put him in a big singhasan and worship him? Oh,
Yeah.
it was a different time.
Different times.
Yeah, it's not conflicting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's a mix.
Let's move on to another topic. Anybody in this room want to say something on another topic? I see a hand in the back. I'm sure it's going to be a different topic.
Yes, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I was just wondering, we understand that when Janva Mata came to Vrindavan, she had Radharani deities made for Govindji, for all the other, the five Goswami temples. But Radharamanji, do we know the reason why Radharani deity is not with Radharamanji?
Two things. One I mentioned already. The deity was manifest from a Shalagram Shila, Narayana without installation. Narayana so it's Narayana, but now in the form of Krishna holding a flute. So that's Krishna. It's not a carved deity. Now comes your question. Why not? Because Shalagram doesn't have Radha by Shalagram's side. Now that's a very, kindergarten way of perhaps understanding why she's not by his side, but then keep going. Okay, there's Govindaji, and it wasn't Radharani by his side. So the king made an arrangement, etc., 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 to have Radharani by his side and by Madan Mohan's side. And there's a whole history of that happening. So where's Radharani? The second part may have something to do with this mood that Janadivas discovered by visiting, and it's very, very elevated. So maybe it's some esoteric way of she's not there, but she's there because she's there in the form of her name, and she's with a crown, and she's under a cloth, but not manifest because of a particular mood of Radharaman. It may have something to do with their Raga Marg worship, because the other deities are not worshipped in that mood or in that manner. And they all have Radha by Govinda's side or by Gopinath's side or etc., by Damodar's side. May have something to do with the esoteric nature of their worship. And therefore she's there, but she's there not in a deity form that they dress.
Is that something to do with, like, because he manifested because of the love of Gopal Bhatta, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested as Radharaman, and since Radha and Krishna are both in Mahaprabhu?
Very nice. Very nice explanation.
I'm just wondering.
I like it. And it connects with, the way of their worship is like that. So I like it. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna, where's Radha by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's side? We don't put Radha by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's side. So we don't put Radha by the side of Radharani because something else. It has to do with the mood of their love, the mood of Gopal Bhatta's love, and therefore as followers, the mood of their love and how they do what they do. Very nice answer. You want to add something? Okay. Over here. Senior devotees first.
I've heard a controversy
No.
between devotees. No. Some devotees say that that Prabhupada wanted us to develop an Archana Paddhati that was more than what he had taught the devotees, and that's why he sent devotees to go to Gaudiya Math and places like that. But in fact, if you listen to Gaura Keshava, he's got
A lot to say.
he's got a lot to say about that. But
And he's living in Srirangam, by the way.
yeah, he's
He's the Rasaka.
anyway. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah.
But there were different attempts, and I don't know if there's currently a final, but I know that they're adding things in deity worship, mudras, and different more complicated mantras and things that weren't there during Prabhupada's presence. And what's your take on all that?
It's different. I mean, the mudras are standard, and then other forms of worship are not standard. What goes into Ragamarg is one thing, and what goes into Vidhimarg is another thing. And these Vidhimarg procedures, including mudras and mantras and things, it's Vidhimarg. It's taken from those texts that are standard texts in Vidhimarg. That's my understanding. And I'm not an expert in deity worship, so I probably shouldn't even be talking. But that's my understanding. Now, non-controversial question, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class, Maharaj. My question is there are two questions actually, both somewhat related. So when Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he went to Radha Kund, his deities were Balram, Lord Balram and Revati. Is there a story behind that?
I don't know.
Why Lord Balram?
I don't know.
And my next question is, Maharaj, that when he went to Radha Kund, it seems like he had a Raman deities also there.
Yes.
And he had Radharaman deities, self-manifested Radharaman deities in Vrindavan.
Why not?
So my conditioned mind was thinking that sometimes we go to multiple places and sometimes we have two homes or something like that, or maybe you're going to. Should we also maybe have something like that?
Why not? If you're an elevated Vaishnava, why not? You may carry your deity with you, or you may make a representative of your deity, and the mood of your worship of that representative deity is the mood of the worship that you do at home.
Thank you.
Because my understanding, which is faulty, is that the mood of the worshipper is perceived by the worshipped, and the worshipped accepts in the mood of the worshipper and reciprocates according to the love of the worshipper. And so it's fine. You can you can do, or bring your deity, or just bring a photograph of your deity, or something like that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes. Yeah, I want to compliment this young boy. You're doing a really good job with the microphone. Well done. Keep it up. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Means I do have a basic understanding, but I would like to hear from you about principle of Yukta-vairagya.
You want to hear about it?
Yes, Maharaj.
Adi Kartik, tell them all about it. Yukta-vairagya, expand on the principle of Yukta-vairagya.
Well, you have to use everything in Krishna's service without using it for your own sense gratification. The more you can use in Krishna's service without becoming entangled in the material side of it, the more advanced you are. So the most advanced devotee can use everything in Krishna's service. Like one time Prabhupada said they can use the atom bomb in Krishna's service. You just put all the demons on an island and you... So that's the perfection of Vairagya Vidya.
Well, I have a comment on that response. Could you explain to me how use of the atom bomb is Yukta-vairagya? Because Yukta-vairagya means for the pleasure of Krishna, and how is that for the pleasure of Krishna? How is it utilizing something for the pleasure of Krishna?
You can ask Prabhupada. He said
I'm
it.
asking you. I'm asking you.
Well, because Krishna killed the demons on the battle of Kurukshetra. All the demons were killed. Krishna comes to annihilate the demons.
Yeah.
Virchana sadhanam, vinachaya chatuskritam. So Krishna wants to purify the world of the demons. So therefore he arranges demons to be killed. So the atom bomb is the perfect way to do it.
Wow.
Well, Krishna arranged the battle of Kurukshetra.
He's also arranged the atom bomb.
When he was reading the Bhagavad Gita, Oppenheimer, Krishna gave him the intelligence to create the bomb. That's speculation, but Krishna may have had something to do with it because,
Certainly, but he giving
Krishna is the intelligence. And
giving intelligence to demons is not the same as Yukta-vairagya. It's an interesting response. I'm just probing how you responded a little bit. So you got the answer to your question. Yukta means engage. Vairagya, in the mood of, we saw without possessiveness. So if it's without possessiveness, then someone is the possessor, that you're using something. And the user, the owner, the possessor is Krishna. So without possessiveness it implies for the pleasure of Krishna. So engaging for the pleasure of Krishna.
Here's a good example. When the Rolls Royce came to pick up Prabhupada, the reporter said, "Why are they picking up in a Rolls Royce?" So Prabhupada said, "Actually, it should be a golden Rolls Royce because I'm the representative of Krishna." So he didn't want the Rolls Royce because he wanted to ride in a Rolls Royce. He wanted to glorify Krishna by people seeing that Krishna just gets the best, like a gold Rolls Royce. But Prabhupada wasn't attached. Otherwise, how could he be attached to material things if he came to New York and he lived in the cold and the snow and he, went through what he went through? So whatever he did was a perfect example of Vairagya Vidya.
Thank you. Just wanted to little follow up, Maharaj. So, acquiring something acquiring something with the intention to use for Krishna and then not using it totally, does it come under Yukta-vairagya?
No. Cheating. Yeah. You heard the verse? He's quoting a verse. Say the whole verse.
That verse is applied to that situation.
Say the whole verse.
Give the English.
One who's engaged in the ultimate occupational duty should never cultivate. What is economic development, and for such a person, if one gains economic development, one should never apply it for sense gratification. One should never use it. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, one time Prabhupada said that was the most important verse.
Really? Dharmasya hi apavargasya narto tayopa.
There's an interview where they say, well, Swamiji, what's a very important verse in the Bhagavatam? And he gave that verse. He didn't give the Ete Changsa verse or the whatever. He somehow gave that verse. Of course, he could give a different verse.
Canto 1, Chapter 2. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. Look it up and read it. And
It's either 12 or 11 or what is it? 8, 9?
look at that. Okay.
Thank you.
You're set now. You got it. Look at this. Here's another question. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Don't let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Can you begin your sentence without saying
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Can I retry that?
Yeah, do a retake. And I notice, the reason I'm doing this is you've asked a few questions and each one starts with this and then a pause. And it's a habit. And it's a nice habit to break. Especially, you're a young, intelligent man. My guess is in the course of time, you're going to be on a platform where you're going to be speaking to people. And if you start and scatter ums here and there, it detracts from your ability to present your message. It's why I did it. It's to help you, get free from that habit.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, let's try it again.
My question is related to, for example, when we look at the deities Radha, Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, they each have like a special mantra for them that we say during our Mangalacharan. Is there a prayer like that for Radha Raman and Radha Madhava, and et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. And I'm trying to recall what it is and where I came across it. But I can't remember right now. I'm trying to think of who is in Vrindavan right now. I can ask them to find out the answer to that question for Radharani, because you want for all of them. There is undoubtedly something for all of them, or each of them. You specifically want to know for Radharani, or you want to know for all of them?
All of them.
Oh.
You already said the three, the Govinda Dev, Madan Mohan, and Gopinath. Everybody knows that.
Well, the three, you know that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, you have Brother Raman? Where'd you get it? Go. So you can do that. Show him, and then you got the answer to that one plus the other three. Here, take the phone. Next. Last. Here's a young, enthusiastic microphone passer. Last question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So can I ask a question from yesterday's class? Like,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Last question, though.
yeah. So Mirabai wanted an audience from
Jiva.
Jiva Goswami. So did he give the audience, and what was the conversation between them?
I don't know about the conversation. My understanding, is subject to being corrected, but my understanding was that he did because of her exaltedness. Not, she was her body was a female form, but because of her exaltedness, he agreed despite her, the renunciation that he had as a mendicant. So what the setting was and so forth and so on, and what was the conversation and so forth and so on, don't know, but he accepted because of her exaltedness. Something similar to Janava and her exaltedness, because she was, beyond everything of this world. So she was looked up to by all the Vaishnavas. When she came more than once to Vrindavan, and she was respected by the Goswamis when she came. So there's a respect and some exchange, but it was on another level, another platform. Similarly, Mirabai. That's my understanding. Maybe Mr. Google knows something beyond that. Okay. Okay.
Why does Radharani have such big eyes?
Why not? All the better to
Because
see
no
with.
other deity has big eyes like that.
Well, it's a mood, and the mood of the worshipper is how they worship the deity. And like, different, for example, different Govardhan Shilas are worshipped in different ways, and some have eyes like this, and some have eyes like that. Some have a smile like this, some have a smile like that. It has much to do with the mood of the worshipper.
So do you think Gopal Bhatta Goswami, when he worshipped him originally 400 years ago, he had eyes like that?
Oh, what was the deal when he was around? I don't know. Don't know. Maybe it was when he was around, they just continued it. I don't know, though. I can't say.
You were in New York when the eyes came to Radha Govinda, and then Bhargraj decided to change them.
Oh.
Flipped out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that. That was like heavy.
What was that about?
Say it.
Pushkara, take
Radha Govinda were sent by Prabhupada to America. And the Bhardraj was one of the persons who took care of preparing the deity for installation. And he wanted to change Govinda's eyes.
Changed the color or what?
They didn't have eyes like that, but they were glued in ivory or whatever.
Well, not only that, he had a Brahmin thread, and he chiseled off the Brahmin thread.
Later on,
They were already installed deities. I mean,
I think he really got the sauce.
But people still don't know that standard because deities, they get in argument. Now, everybody except for Damodar has blue eyes. Every single deity on the altar. Both gopis, Radharani, bright blue.
and he has brown?
He has brown eyes, but Radharani used to have brown eyes.
Used to.
When I used to take care of them, yeah,
And now blue.
bright blue. I can barely stand. I only glance at the dress when somebody posts them because they look so different. It's so painful to see because they've been recently changed. Born and Ty both have bright blue eyes.
Oof. Okay, that's not a nice note to end on. Anybody you want to add?
Other deities have very big eyes, and I was thinking of Srinathji has those little. He's not opening his eyes wide, but they go very long,
Slanted.
Yeah.
Style.
Like Krishna's eyes are very big. Go back, like lotus eyes.
You're going back to Adikarta's question. He's okay. He's okay.
Can I ask a question, Guru Maharaj?
A sweet one, right?
Yeah, it's nothing related to
Oh,
this.
okay.
About Mirabai.
Mirabai.
So, like as I grew up, I heard so many bhajans and Mirabai's bhajans and Narsi Mehta's bhajans. But after coming to ISKCON, we're just following Vaishnavacharyas, which are good, I like, but because of the Bengali language and the language, like Narsi Mehta's and all other in my language, so I could connect it more. So, is it okay to, like hear those? Is it okay to hear or do the bhajans of Mirabai or Narsi Mehta? Like not, or just Vaishnavacharyas?
Yeah. You put it's like a spice, and you put a little bit. Don't put too much. A little bit.
Can I say some anecdote?
Sure.
Prabhupada in Calcutta in the 70s. In the 70s, there was this man and his wife, and they were very poker-faced. They used to stand outside the Calcutta temple and sing Mirabai songs. And Dear Krishna recorded it. It was Satchidananda in the Bengali one day, and I have the recording, but not in maybe it is in my phone, actually. It was digitized. But so anyway, Prabhupada had sent prasadam down and sometimes rupees. He really appreciated. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, it's Mirabai, but just the fact that they would come, and they had this perfect harmony. It was like incredible. If you have to hear it, actually, and they're singing Ganga Jamuna, that song. You know the songs? No, well, that's a famous one apparently. Ganga, but the way they sing it is just amazing. But remind me if you want to hear it. We recently had it digitized after 10 million years. From 74, it was recorded in a cassette.
I distributed a Bhagavad Gita to Lata Mangeshkar in Miami airport.
What does that do?
She had a great album of Mirabai bhajan.
Oh.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki. Gaur Premanandi.